good day to all of you who have joined with us today. It's my pleasure to give an introduction about our resource person. Dr. Punitha D is Head and Associate Professor, PG Department of Communication, Women's Christian College. She has been teaching for more than 20 years now and has an industry experience of 3 years. Her area of expertise is political economy of entertainment television, media institution, television studies, media ownership structures and media economics, film studies and journalism. Thank you for sparing us some time and being here with us today, ma'am. I now request you to commence the session. We welcome you once again, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here and thank SSJ and organizers. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I know when she, and especially thank Dr. Nirmala who's been coordinating, and she asked me to deliver a lecture, and gave me a general topic on introduction to research, and she said that it will be mainly students who will be attending the workshop. So I wonder if people, others who find it very simple or basic, but the target was for scholars and students. So before I begin, Margarita, can we have the presentation? Fine. Yeah, let me start the lecture with a story or a parable. 5 blind men were introduced to an elephant for the first time. So each of them, they have to, touch and then feel it, and then they have to give a verdict. The first person said, elephant is solid and flat like a wall. Okay, and this is the first time they were touching an elephant and they had to give a verdict. So the second person said, no, it's not like that. Elephant is like a trunk of a tree reaching towards the heaven. And the third person said, no, an elephant is like a palm leaf, round and soft and waving in the breeze. And the fourth person said, no, you're all wrong. An elephant is like a flexible pipe. The air moves along and with it gushing sound. And finally, the fifth person said, no, you're all wrong. An elephant is like a rope. And when you pull it, the heavens open with a rain. So you must be wondering why I am starting the lecture on such a serious topic on research with a frivolous story like this. That's precisely the point. That's exactly the point I want to make. Research can be intriguing and enjoyable. It can be a mix of dull routine with an excitement and satisfaction of exploring your world and perhaps, finding new knowledge. I know it's easy when I say that it's enjoyable because all of us have gone through the pain of, submitting papers or, sending abstracts for conferences and being rejected. And sometimes you would like to know why your paper was rejected, because we all had that experience. And even if it is accepted, the number of reviews it goes through, and finally, when you see the draft, you just get fed up and say, okay, I had enough. I don't want anything more to do with it. So that's why it's research is always something of, something which we've constructed in our minds as something very, very difficult, and it's something which really takes the life away. I'm not saying it is not, it is, because I ask anybody who has ever finished PhD, they say, finally, I'm done with it. It's more than, contributing something to the society, done something which will help you advance your career. We all really feel a sigh of relief. It's not just what we want to do also. I know it's a lot of administrative things that adds to that. But again, the reviews, because each of us have a very different perspective of the way we look at things. And that's why we always think, yeah, research is kind of, very difficult. Okay, suppose I ask you a question. Next slide. Suppose I ask you a question. How do you know that you have to breathe to live? Or how do you know it is cold in winter? What would you say? Any of you can say that. Any of you can answer if you can. You can, any of you can answer. Or you want to put it in the chat box also, it's fine. When I ask you, if I was supposed to ask you a question, how do you know that you have to breathe to live? Or how do you know it's cold? Did you do a research? Can anyone unmute and talk? By experiencing it, by our senses. Okay. Okay. Any other answers? Could we, a humble request, can we avoid the good mornings, because then we won't be able to interact, because it's a workshop and ideally we would like to talk. If we can't talk, at least we can message. So can we avoid the good morning messages, please? Yeah. By the perception, yes. Okay. Nature, it's already in us. Subconscious mind. Okay. These are the answers I'm reading out. Okay. It's a natural phenomenon. Okay. 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 It's a natural. How do you know it's a natural phenomenon? They ask you by default. By default. Yeah, exactly. That's precisely the point. If you don't breathe, you die. You die. You suffocate. Someone says, when you close your nose and mouth, you suffocate. So we know that we have to breathe. Yeah, we found it ourselves. Exactly. These are the answers I was looking for. We can move on to the next slide, Margarita. So this is what There's things that everybody knows. Why are you asking me this? This is everybody knows. What's the big deal about it? There are a lot of things that everybody knows. Like the world is round, but we also know that at one point people thought the world was flat, didn't they? Because and then you had again science to prove. This is where science comes in. Most of the things are. It's a matter of agreement. What we know is a matter of agreement and belief. Okay, growing up in a society basically is in fact a process of learning. You learn to accept what everybody knows or what everybody says it is true. So we give in because it's impossible for us to everything some things you feel that's simply the way we have structured human societies. The fundamental basis of knowledge is agreement. You agree because everyone knows you agree. But then you couldn't learn all those things through your personal experiences. There are some, like I asked you, how do you know it's cold? It's winter, it's cold. Because you just step out. Then I ask you, how do you know it's raining? When it's raining, you'll also feel cold. You go out in the rain, you feel it, you experience it, and then so you know. So but everything cannot be done that way. Very little is based on your personal experience and discovery. So that's where your society comes in. A bigger part of growing up in a society is in fact is a process of learning to accept what everybody knows around you, is true, or you just come to accept it. Okay, and so we ultimately live in a world of two realities. Part of what you know is called as experimental reality. That is the things we know as a function of a direct experience. Like all of you said, that the breathing for winter is cold, or if you put your hands in the eyes, again you feel cold. These are something which you know what you do with. Another part is called agreemental reality. Like things you consider real because everyone else seems to agree, and they are like real. So you assume that they are real. Again, I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. We will come back to that because again, it's evolving. Research is evolving. Science has an answer for everything, but again, it's evolving. That's why you need to believe in science. Okay, but yeah, when we're talking about both experimental reality and the agreemental reality, is both the problem. It both seems real. Let me give you an example. Okay, suppose I throw you a party. Next slide, Margarita. Next slide. I think we've done. Yeah, so that's what. Next slide. Yeah. So suppose I throw a party, and then I give you an appetizer. Okay, and what you do is you taste it, and then you like it, and then you enjoy it, and then finally you just couldn't resist it, and then you ask me, what is it? It's really yummy. It's very nice, and I would like to have a recipe. You really enjoyed. You were thoroughly enjoying. You were happy about it. You really glad it, and then I tell you, those are worms. What would your reaction be? What would your immediate reaction be? If I tell you, the moment I tell you it's worms. Anybody? Anybody can type. Anybody can say it's true because it's true. What's true? Okay, that is what before the previous answer. I throw you a party and you're enjoying the appetizer and you ask me, it's, okay, slowly, fine. Yeah, okay. Okay, again, I go back. I throw you a party and I give you appetizer, and then you taste it and then you like it, and then you really enjoy it. And after some time, you say, ask me what it is, and I tell you those are worms. What will your reaction be? Is what I asked. Okay, I'm going slowly. You'll be disappointed. Okay, you'll be disappointed. Yeah. You'll be puking. You'll feel like vomiting. It's displeasure, surprised, sometimes getting angry, bit nervous, petrified, frustration, nervous, shocking. My. Okay, those are all really interesting answers. You'll feel guilty. Never knew worms would be, that's classic. Never knew worms could be that tasty. Good. Good. Yeah, fine. Wouldn't like it at all. Next time would never come. Next time you'll never come home. Good. So Corona, no taste on Joe's. I'll go to the doctor immediately. Ali says, I'll go to the doctor immediately. Why, Abhi? Because, few moments back, you were the one who enjoyed it, right? You were the one who said it was really Abhi of Sri Shankar Lal. Yeah, I should say it again. So you were the one, a few moments back, you enjoyed it. You enjoyed it. You will take precautions. Why? Worms are nutritious. Next time I'll first check the appetizers. Okay. Okay, worms are nutritious. Okay, in some cultures it's enjoyed, it's a delicacy. And the same way I say with the grasshopper in Kenya, it was served. My brother had, he had. Appetizer, and he was selling it's grasshopper. It's like something like that. So these are delicacies in some cultures. Some cultures it is very you say repulsive, puking, and all that. We all feel that. Why is that? Why do you feel that? Any reason? Why do you feel such a way? Because worms, worms are high in protein. They are soft protein, and you are the same person. Few moments back, you enjoyed it. The same person. The moment I say, your stomach churns and you feel repulsive, and then because you are not used to consuming them. Okay, fine. Yeah, right. Because you are not used to it. Exactly. Because you are not used to it. Okay. Okay, now you all got the point. Yeah. So both the feelings are real. Next slide. Okay, next slide, Margarita. So both the feelings are real. You are the same person. You really liked it, but then the moment I say worms, your stomach churned and you really felt repulsive. So reality is one of the trickiest business. How can you know what is real? Okay. People have grappled with these questions for thousands of years, and science is one of the answers that has risen out of that grappling. Science offers an approach, both agreement reality and experimental reality. So in general, an assertion must have both logical and empirical support. I go again, in general, an assertion, if you have to, assertion must have both logical and empirical support. So it must align, it must make sense and align with the observations of the world. So science is more importantly offers a special approach to the discovery of reality through your personal experience. There has to be a special approach to the business of inquiry. Okay, epistemology. Move to the next slide. Epistemology is the science of it's the same slide. Epistemology is a science of knowing. Okay, and methodology is a science of finding out. So inquiry is a very natural human activity. Let it say, like first we recognize the future circumstances are conditioned by our present ones. How do you know, like how is it? Because if you study well, if you do your doctorate, you'll get a better job. If you, qualify for your net, and then you prepare for your net, and then you have your doctorate or postdoctorate, you want to advance, you want to, move forward in a career, and then only then you can lead a better life. So your future circumstances are determined or conditioned by the present one. So that you directly link with the earning more money by studying well and things like that. So, and sometimes tradition has some advantages of human inquiry, uh, because we have spared a lot of overthinking. But at the same time, because every time you cannot be wondering, why is the sky blue? Why is this like that? And things like that. There are some things like, when you tell children, don't play with the fire. I'm sure we as children, the same with the worm, because when we were eating, our parents would have chided us when we were playing with worms, and maybe we half ate the worm and it was there and they tried to pull out, and we had a history. The same thing with fire. When you play with the fire, kids when play with the fire, they say don't play with the fire, you'll get burnt. They don't listen. But when they put their hands in the fire and then they scar themselves, they know what it is. There is something which, as that's all basically human nature. You try out certain things. So like, for when you say you follow tradition, there's something like, I'm not saying the tradition in the sense of culture and what we should follow, because that's ever changing. What was right then cannot be right now, because a lot of things change. But there are certain things like, when to sow, when to reap, which is the season to sow, which is the season to reap. These are all, handed over by generations. And which crop, what time do you have to, so all that is there, when to tend it, all these things have been handed over to us by generation. But again, there are a lot of things, especially if you look at history and you look at a lot of tradition, they are very inhibitive to women. Right now, when you look at it, of course, all of feminism in the later 70s and 80s, and we talk about it from a different perspective. And but throughout history, it has always been biased to women. So throughout our life, we will be the beneficiaries of new discoveries and science which are produced by others. Often, the acceptance of new acquisition will depend on the discoverer. Say, for example, an epidemiologist declares that how virus is spread, it's better than what your maiden aunt will say, right? Your aunt or your uncle will say, right? Yes or no? Because next slide, Margarita. Okay. So, suppose, again, there is a problem. Inquiry will also be hindered by people who speak outside the authority of the realm of an expertise. Suppose because you call me, and then, so I went for a vaccination. And when I went, I know, like, I'm not a scientist, obviously, I'm not a scientist, I'm just a social scientist. So I don't know much about vaccines and all that. How do I acquire the knowledge? I read a lot about research. I know Covaxin was still in the second stage. The only trial only was over. So Covishield or Covaxin, what is available in India, and read what about what the scientists had to say, whether to vaccinate or not. All that you do your own research. So, and then apart from that, you ask your friends also. You ask your doctor friends whether to advise. When you see them vaccinating themselves and their family, then you have the courage to take a call. But then you do a lot of research. We live in a world where now you have a lot of focus and scope to find out, unlike a decade back or so. That's so, now you have a lot of focus. Now, when we're coming back to getting people or experts who talk, but I can only say my personal experience. I had vaccine, until now, no side effects, so you can go. But the death of a celebrity in Tamil Nadu, I think people in Tamil Nadu will know. A popular comedian, Vivek, had a cardiac arrest immediately after he vaccinated. So there were a lot of negative propaganda, against the vaccine. People thought it was vaccine which killed him, and still a lot of areas and a lot of people don't want to get vaccinated because they think it will do more harm than good. So how do you, deal with that? That is precisely the problem these days. I cannot go and say, if I'm not an expert, if I'm not a virologist, I'm not an epidemiologist, I cannot talk with authority on that. So you need to, same way, like, you can't, like, what happened to Baba Ramdev and, Coronel? He said it will cure everything. Now he's nowhere in the picture. Even he's out. You had all sorts of theories, you puppet curing COVID and all those things. What happened to them when the cases are like, splurging, it's killing people all around us. So you need scientific proof when you are, justifying. So, when I talk about basin, I also know that because we have too much of information, even I had a feeling maybe it could be a multi-billion dollar global scam by big pharma. Because even many doctors have said that. So it's a lot of things can happen when we are researching on our own. And how do we draw a conclusion on that is what we are trying to, find out today. So yeah, next slide. What are the errors in personal inquiry? Okay, personal. When suppose when you are, we are human beings. We are prone to errors. Okay, just do me a favor. If there is somebody next to you, uh, just look at them, just observe them for a few minutes, and then get back. Maybe 1 minute or so. Just observe them. If there's somebody near you, or normally if it's a smaller crowd, I would, ask, to have a breakout room, but this is like some 245 people, so I can't have breakout rooms. So can just spend 1 minute, just 1 minute, and then come back. So are you back? Yeah. Now just answer these questions for me. If you can type or you can unmute yourself and then talk, it's fine. Okay. Who is the person next to you? Can you tell me what was the person next to you wearing? T-shirt. Okay. What was the color of the T-shirt? Jeans. What was the color of the jeans? My daughter's wearing a cute frock. Okay. What is the color? What are the colors in the frock? What are the colors? She's wearing a T-shirt and a pant, red and white. And is she wearing a bindi? What is she? What is she wearing a bindi, or is she wearing a beautiful clip or a neck piece? Pink. Okay, black shirt, having spectacles. Okay. Okay. So okay. So you observed certain things. Okay, but can you tell me everything about that person? Okay, just because if it's in a breakout room, it will be better because that's a person who you wouldn't know. So it'll be different for you when you're testing them. But here when you say mobile in the hand, yeah, okay. So you observe. This is a very casual observation. Even in a casual observation, you tend to miss out on a lot of things. You wouldn't know whether they were having a bindi, whether they were in class, or whether their band was on, what color earrings were they wearing, what color neck piece, whether they were wearing bangles or ring, all that. It's very, very, it's a casual observation, and then you tend to miss out on a lot of things. Okay. So in a casual observation itself, if you tend to miss a lot of, next slide, Madhur. Okay, so we were talking about errors in personal. That slide, 1 minute. Yeah, so this is the one. So even in my sister's wearing a weird expression on her face, and I was staring at her. Okay, yeah. So good. But then the point I was trying to make is, you tend to miss out on a lot of things even when we are making a casual thing. Suppose let's say an American tourist visits India, and then she's badly treated here. She's just ripped off, and then or she had some bad experiences. So what does she assume? She will assume that everybody in India is bad. Everybody in India behaves so badly. So they tend to put a bracket. It's not true. There are people, good and bad people everywhere, and then so these are things which can generalize and say all Indians are like that. Even when we have experiences like that, you are treated badly by one, you tend to things, a lot of things, a lot of so these are all once a personal experience which can go wrong, and something which are constructed by the society itself. You have this even today, let me tell you, in spite of all this, even today there are a lot of people, like blacks. We have talked about how George Floyd's movement has become a big thing, and but still people tend to believe that blacks are really rough. Blacks are really, you tend to call them blacks. They say blacks. Even African American, they try to ask you to say African American, but still you say blacks. It's easy for us. So they say they are all like that. They behave roughly. So here also, there if it's racism, here it's casteism. You tend to segregate some people based on their caste. So these are things which casually happen because it's been constructed, and a lot of problems also with when you construct a lot of things. So that is one thing. Next is overgeneralization. Yeah, just move on to these are the three things: inaccurate observation, and overgeneralization, and selective observation. These are again very important things which hinder human inquiry. Next slide, Margarita. Yeah, so this is what overgeneralization. Overgeneralization here, you say, you want a bunch of squares. Are they squares? Are they squares? These are squares. Are they squares? No, no. But what's inside is the squares. They are checks. Okay, but what is inside, then you can tell. So this is what overgeneralization does. What overgeneralization does is, like, let me give you an example. Like I assign you, like media students, I ask my students to go and cover a certain event. So they go and cover. There's a demonstration, and then they are covering. And what you do is, she meets the first few 2-3 people, and then they say, why are you, what is the demonstration for? And then they say a particular thing, and then she assumes, and all the 3,000 people there are are demonstrating for that particular cause. That might not be true. These two people might be thinking like that, and then the others might not be thinking. So that is overgeneralization. So the same thing with the large samples, but there are sometimes which can see, like what you say, like suppose there's a study which was conducted on people, you say the educated people behave in certain pattern in a particular country, and then the not so educated people don't behave like this. They have behave like this in a particular country. You replicate the same study here, but then you don't find such a difference, a vast difference between those who are educated and not educated. So that means it's not, you're overgeneralizing. The same way, say women, all women feel like that. All men feel like that. So this is overgeneralization. For some things it can work, like for vaccines, you say a large number of population has been vaccinated, and the number and the percentage who had effects of vaccine or could have triggered by vaccine is very, very less compared to a large number. So that can happen, but that's the problem of overgeneralization. The same study where between the educated and not so educated could be vastly different in one particular country and not here. Okay, that could be the reason. Next slide. This is again the example for inaccurate observation. When how inaccurate, sometimes we, what I gave you an example for. Next slide.